There are some big things happening in and around Arsenal that I definitely want to get people's opinions on. We're also going to be speaking about Arsenal potentially signing a striker in January. There's some links coming out, and I definitely think it's worth talking about. Before we get into it, though, I want to ask you one very quick favour. If you could, just hit like on this video. So I'm going to start this with a very quick question before we get into the video. I haven't had a chance to speak to you guys since the Sporting Lisbon game. No one was able to get the correct scoreline, and why would they? Arsenal won 5-1. But I have a quick question. I just wanted to know, who was everyone's man of the match in that game against Sporting? Let me know in the comment section, and I'm going to tell you mine in a second. But look, that win, for so many reasons, was so important for Arsenal. Like I said, we're going to speak about other things as well, but I quickly wanted to touch on the Sporting game just for a minute because I haven't had a chance to give my opinion. 5-1 is such a big result, not just for Arsenal, but for Mikel Arteta as well. Because if there's something that can be aimed at Mikel Arteta, it probably is with the fact that he's not been able to produce outcomes in Europe. Like, if you look at his results against some of the teams in Europe, they're never really that great. This is undoubtedly Mikel Arteta's best win in Europe. 5-1 against one of the most informed teams in Europe. And people will always say, oh, it's only Sporting. But it wasn't only Sporting when they slapped Man City 4-1 and when they won 11 games in their league and they've only conceded 5 goals and they've scored 39 and they got the top scorer in the Portugal Liga. They got the top scorer in the Champions League. It wasn't just Sporting Lisbon then, but because Arsenal slapped them 5-1, that's just Sporting Lisbon. That's what Arsenal should be doing. But in my opinion, it's a very, very good result. Gives Arsenal the chance to carry on that momentum that we saw us build against Forest. There's obviously personnel we need to speak about who was so impressive. Gabriel at the back was the main guy for me, not just because he scored the goal, because him and Saliba, of course, was able to keep Gyokores, one of the best strikers in the world at the minute, so quiet. And I liked when Gabriel scored and he'd done the kind of the Gyokores celebration, not in front of the mouth where Gyokores does it, but he'd done it over the eyes as if to say, we can't see you, you're not being able to score. There's been a lot of people hating on Gabriel because he made that movement, but it's like, it's fun and games, man. Like, people are slating Gabriel because he done that celebration. And even Gyokores come out after the game and said, well, I guess if he can't think of his own celebration and he has to use mine. And I'm thinking, stop crying. Like, this is football. These guys are competitors. They're allowed to have a little dig. They're having digs at each other during the game, giving each other a little tug, a little pull. So for him to pull out a little wind-up celebration, not only do I not mind it, but in fact, I encourage it. I love it. I love to see those little bits of needle in games. It's just enjoyable to me. But again, we saw the importance of Odegaard returning to this team. How clear was the fluidity? How strong was that right-hand side? We noticed in the Forest game with Merino and Calafiori how strong that left-hand side was. I was pretty sure Mikel Arteta would want to keep that same dynamic in this game. In the end, he went for Declan Rice in that position, and Declan Rice done fine. Like, he done good. Declan Rice had a good performance. That left-hand side wasn't as strong as it could be, but that's probably just for the fact that the right-hand side was so dominant. Again, with Timber, Saka, and Odegaard down that right-hand side, it was such a strong right-hand side. And it's leaving us with another question. And this is a talking point I'm seeing online, and I wanted to gauge where your guys' opinions are, right? So many people are saying now, Jurrien Timber has overtaken Ben White for that right-back position. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. And I'm seeing the debate online. Some people are agreeing with it and some people are disagreeing. This is always a subject that's going to have a difference of opinion because so many people love Ben White. And now so many of us are enjoying the performances of Jurrien Timber. So in your mind right now, I want you to let me know who holds that right-back position. And when Ben White comes back to fitness, does he have to wait on the bench for his opportunity to try and displace Jurrien Timber from that right-back position? It's definitely an interesting discussion because, look, Jurrien Timber is looking brilliant on that right-hand side at the minute. I watched a Charles Watts video and he was comparing him to Jurrien. And I actually quite like that comparison. I saw a lot of pushback on that, saying he's nothing like Jurrien. And I understand what he meant when he made that statement. He's like this, he's not massive, but he's this aggressive, fairly quick, good at getting forward, very strong defensively. So yeah, I definitely see attributes between Jurrien Timber and Jurrien that are pretty similar. Of course, there are some differences, but I like that comparison. And Jurrien Timber is just showing that he is so, like, going, that ball he played for the first goal was such a great ball from a right back, and he does offer that going forward. Like I said, defensively, he's also very strong. In my opinion, at the minute, probably not as strong as Ben White. Maybe not as athletic or quick. Some people will disagree, of course. But for me, if I had both of them 100% fitness and I was playing in a final and someone said, who would be your right back? Both of them are on top form. Who would you pick? In my opinion, it's still Big Benny Blanco. He's been doing it for 3 or 4 seasons. And you have to earn beating that guy. Like, we've never had a discussion of Ben White's the weak link of this team. Ben White's not doing very well. Now, there's been performances where we've discussed and said, right, maybe that wasn't his best game. But in terms of consistency, Ben White's always been brilliant. So for me, Ben White would still be ahead of Jurrien Timber. Now, when Ben White comes back, there will be some integration needed. He will still need to get up to fitness. So he's not, as soon as he's ready to play, going to snatch that spot back off Jurrien Timber. But in my opinion, there will come a time when he wins that position back. It will be interesting to see how it pans out, because the other people might be right. That might now be Jurrien Timber's position, and Ben White needs to fight for it. I'm excited to see how it pans out. And again, it's only good for the team. Having 2 strong options in that right-back position will only benefit the team, because our defence is strong. And when you add that level of competition, it was inevitably only make it stronger. Again, Timber played well. The 2 defenders played well. The 2 centre-backs in particular. Thomas Partey, again, very, very good, especially the first half. In the second half, maybe there was a couple of lazy passes or misplaced passes. But when you're 5-1 up, it's easier to lose concentration and switch off. Now, there will be games where you can't do that and you're going to be forced to be on top of it all the time. But I wouldn't be worried about that with Thomas Partey, because he's been so good this season. And a couple of misplaced passes in the second half when you're 4-1, 5-1 up, it's not the end of the world. Again, Declan Rice was strong enough. Odegaard, I've already spoke about him, just so important to this team. Even Bukayo Saka come out and said after the game, like, it's so important. Like, we just know what the other person's going to do. And when you have that type of relationship, like, you can clearly see it affects Arsenal when Odegaard's not in the team in terms of creativity. Saka knows as soon as Odegaard gets the ball, Saka doesn't necessarily even have to think about what Odegaard's going to do. He just does what he wants, and he knows Odegaard will 100% find him. Like, it might not happen. Like, it's going to happen. Odegaard will find you because he has that level of play. Like, he's so clever. Again, Martinelli, great to see him get a goal. Trossard, come on and scored. Will he lose his position for the West Ham game? We're going to break that down tomorrow and speak in more depth about what the plan might be for Arsenal in that one. And again, the striker was pretty good as well. So all in all, that performance against Sporting was a good performance. Now, the striker I wanted to get your guys' opinion on. Like, if this deal was to happen literally 1 year ago, so many people would have been saying, we have to do this. We have to sign this player now. And that is Evan Ferguson. It's looking likely, or there's reports out there saying that Brighton may let him leave in January on a loan deal. Now, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, because like I said, if it was a year ago, most of us would have said, well, yeah, bring him in. Like, there was a price tag being bandied about a year ago of 100 million for Evan Ferguson. Arsenal were one of the clubs reportedly interested in securing his signature. So Arsenal like the player 100%. Now, he's obviously very injury prone. And the way that I would be looking at it is, look, Arsenal need to be doing something this season, whether it be Champions League, whether it be Premier League title. And the simplest way to look at it for me is Evan Ferguson the guy that you make the decision to sign in January? Is he going to make the difference? If you're maybe going to win the title or maybe going to win the Champions League, is he the guy to push you over the edge? Does he take you to that next level? Is he something so different to what Arsenal already have on this football pitch? And to me, if I'm being quite honest, the answer is probably not. Good young player. Would I like to have him in the squad somewhere? Yeah, probably. But it's not a player I would bring in on loan unless it was the only option. And even then, I don't think he would get that much game time because I don't think right now he's better than Havertz. He may not even be better than Gabriel Jesus. He's got the similar kind of injury record to a player like Gabriel Jesus, where when he plays, he looks good, but then he gets injured and he misses a month or so. He's only just coming back from injury recently. And do we need that in our team? Like I said, is he a guy that transforms you into a maybe team, into a definitely team? And in my opinion, the answer is no. But if he is the only option, then would I go for it? Maybe, but then it would kind of be like a Raheem Sterling kind of situation where it's like, you're not going to get anyone else So do you just go for Raheem Sterling? Arsenal took the answer of yes, we will do that. And has it paid off? Up to this point, you would probably say no. And Raheem Sterling, I'm not ready to write him off yet, but I'm just saying I would see the Ferguson and the Sterling one kind of in the same bracket. Now, they are, of course, different. Raheem Sterling would seem he's on the downward trajectory, and Evan Ferguson is still so young that he could have a push upwards. So it's an interesting deal. One I'm not convinced would be the game changer for Arsenal that I would like it to be. I think you can still go out there and sign a player like a Gyokores, who, even though he didn't score against Arsenal in the Sporting game, I do still think you can see the quality there. Like, if he was in the Premier League, he would give defenders all kind of problems because he's fast, he's strong, he's fairly technical, he's got such a powerful shot that I would be looking at more like a player like that. Is that a deal you can do in January? I don't know. You would have to speak to Arteta and the board and whoever's making the decisions now that Edu isn't there. But I would say Ferguson isn't that game changer Arsenal need. Let me know your thoughts on it, though, in the comment section. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could, do me a favour very quickly. Just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.